Hello, Jaws fans, and welcome to another episode of the Johnny Jaws cast. I am your host, Johnny Horror, and first and foremost, allow me to apologize for the extended hiatus. Life happens, and sometimes we gotta play catch up. But the year is now 2025, and Jaws is celebrating its 50th anniversary. So, Brian and I have some fun stuff in store for you, starting with 1977's Jaws ripoff, Tentacles, a film about a giant killer octopus. We had a lot of fun talking about it, and we hope you have fun listening to it. So, grab a bottle of apricot brandy and drink to each other's legs as we set sail for open waters aboard the USS Johnny Jaws cast. Welcome back to the Johnny Jaws cast. I am one of your hosts this evening, Johnny Horror, and tonight we are discussing the 1977 aquatic horror film Tentacles. With me, as always, my partner in crime and my first mate aboard the USS Johnny Jaws cast. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me, how do you feel about octopi?
Oh, hey! Brian, co-host here. Octopus are cool. Except for this one, I guess. I don't have any painted back there, don't worry. Not at the moment, at least.
No, I was trying to spy what your subtitle was there, your subheading, and
Oh,
it just says Brian is awesome. Wow.
mhm.
Modest too, clearly. Oh, Lordy. Um So octopi, you're cool with them, right? Like you hop in the water with them, and
Yeah,
like
they're cool.
you don't mind if they get a little suckish.
I mean, I would mind. It got a little suckish.
What if it just like gave you a hug? Those cups, that sort of acupuncture thing that people do where it just like sucks onto your back and they have all those like little like red dots on their back, which
Yeah, they're like
really
bruised
kind
out.
of grosses me out. But it'd be just like that, be just like acupuncture. Uh,
Right.
a hug from an octopi.
Yeah.
It's good,
Perfect
right?
peace.
Well, hey buddy, really happy you're here. It is March 5th,
That's right.
2025. The last time you and I did a Jaws cast, um, I think was like in April of last year. Um,
Man,
yeah, somewhere around that time. I don't remember if the episode released in April or if we recorded in April, but it's
that
been
worked.
almost a year since we did Orca.
It was okay. Okay. I was trying to remember what the
Yeah.
most recent one was.
Um
Classic.
and we just Brian got married last year, so we had to kind of put a pin in most extracurricular activities. Hey, congrats there, Chief. Um so yeah, we're really happy to be back though.
Yeah.
This has definitely been a long time coming, and we are, I think we're both pretty excited to discuss this film. Like I said, it's only been a year of us, talking about doing it. So here we
Right.
are.
I think
Better late than never.
it was on the menu for a while there.
Yeah, quite. If I don't know if anybody, the handful of people that listen to this podcast are even still alive.
Andrew's probably still kicking.
That's
fine. We both know this is just an excuse for you and I to get together and get smashed and talk about what aquatic monsters we would least like to die by.
Also, just a great excuse to finally watch Tentacles, because it probably wouldn't have gone out of my way.
It's like, I would say 90% of the films that we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, before we get into the nitty gritty of it all, I hear sirens. What could that possibly be? I think we are being called over to the Amity Police Station. Here at the Amity Police Station, we're going to give you a little bit of a rundown about the film. And I, believe it or not, tried to do a little bit of research about this movie, but it's a little hard to come by. There's not a ton of detail about it, so we will once again be pulling from Wikipedia, which is all 100% fact-checked by top men. There can be absolutely zero dispute that this shit is written in stone. So, Tentacles is a 1977 horror thriller film by Ovidio G. Asantis. Asantis. It's very Italian, I believe. And stars John Huston, Shelley Winters, Bo Hopkins, Cesar Danava, Delia Baccaro, and Henry Fonda. Now, there is a description of the film here, but as we are known to do on the Johnny Jaws cast, I will be handing the description of the film over to my co-host for what we affectionately refer to as Brian's Best Bad Breakdown.
Oh, we're gonna kick your ass so much, we're gonna get tired of kicking your ass. We're gonna start kicking our own asses. There's gonna be so much ass kicking, they're gonna write a book about it. There's gonna be so much ass kicking today, they're gonna make it a national holiday. Ooh, people are gonna get so fucked up on that holiday, they're gonna get together, start making horny little ass kicking babies. There's gonna be an ass kicking extravaganza.
You done?
Too soon, I tell.
Will you two just shut the fuck up and fight me already?
Ass kicking. Okay, now I'm done.
Take it away, sir.
All right, so the classic American company, Trojan, has left the bedroom and set its sights on the open ocean. But this time, their shortcomings lead them to piss off not one, but 8 throbbing members. In this low-budget production, you'll be hard-pressed to keep up with the storyline as the ending comes out of nowhere with a climactic finish. 2 whales, 1 octopus.
Oh boy, buddy. I gotta say, a year off has done wonders for you. You've really stepped up your game. That was fantastic. Not only did I comprehend everything, but you managed to get some solid innuendos
Right?
dialed in there. I'm a big fan.
A couple
Big fan.
rewrites, but 0 ChatGPT, so all me, baby.
All right. So, I will give a less exciting but more by the numbers breakdown. When numerous people go missing in a seaside resort town, that sounds familiar. Reporter discovers that a rampaging giant octopus is terrorizing the coast, while a marine biologist attempts to stop the octopus before more tourists fall victim to the creature. Also sounds familiar. It appears that a corporation may be connected to the octopus's murderous rampage. All right. So, Brian, how did you find out about Tentacles?
This guy I used to work with back in the day brought it up one day. We were like working on a different podcast together. Big beard.
Oh,
Yeah.
sounds like an interesting fellow.
He's, more
Okay. I myself, I can't remember exactly. I know I've known about it for a while. I will say first and foremost that like this film has like such great artwork. Like all of the promotional material for this flick is stupendous. Um, uh, I don't want to jump the gun here, but some might say the artwork for the film um, might be better than the film itself and might also be slightly misleading in terms of how grand in scale the film actually is. Um, but gonna try not to put the cart before the horse. Uh, Without any further ado, I'm tired of hanging out at this musky old police station. I need some fresh air, so we are going to head on over to beautiful white sand beaches. Beautiful white sand beaches, aka the good stuff, aka where we talk about what we liked about this movie. Um, I feel like this will be a fairly quick segment to get through, but Brian, I will let you take it away in just a moment, but I am going to start us off with Peg fucking Leg. That is the first good thing I wrote. Our little fisherman that we see at the beginning of the movie,
Really?
who I assumed was going to be a larger character, given his very unique disability. Um, but I was very excited to see a peg leg. Out of all of the aquatic horror movies that you and I have watched thus
Yeah.
far, I don't think we've had anybody with a peg leg yet. So that is
Right.
really like, if you had that on your bingo card for Tentacles, which I did not, but if you did, congratulations, that's a bingo.
Yeah, man, that's right. I forgot about Bill. Man, flash and pan.
Yeah,
I
very
honestly
much
can't
so.
believe I remember his name because I vaguely remember like the rest of the main cast name. But I do remember.
Well, I'll explain why you remember his name a little bit later in one of our future sections. I'll explain why it sticks out to you so much and why you probably don't even realize it. But again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself in that regard. Please, Brian, tell me one thing you liked about Tentacles.
The fonts and typefaces forever. Back to the promotional material. Good lord. I mean, they used like 8 different typefaces for just the word tentacles, as you can see below, and languages. Most of them are fucking amazing, as well as the artwork. I loved it. I took a picture of this one because it was so cool. You can't really see it, but oh yeah, you can. Look at that. Oh, wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Maybe. Maybe.
No, it's not coming through at all.
We'll do it. There.
Hey, there it is. That looks pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the title card in the movie, in the opening, and it's fucking killer. Yeah, I don't know. It's just good 70s shit. Like you and I were talking about the other day, and I'm like, we were like, dude, 70s fucking don't disappoint when it comes to their artwork and title cards.
Yeah, I think you had a very similar compliment for Grizzly, actually.
Yes.
During the Grizzly
opening
credits.
Yeah, it's like fucking 5 minutes long, I remember, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I will say that both Grizzly and Tentacles both like have this like sort of uppity sort of
right
like intro that I don't think suits the rest of the movie by any means, but Tentacles wins out just because it's so much shorter. It's probably about a fourth of the length of what the Grizzly opening credits was.
You also get to see a little bit more than just like luscious green mountains.
Yeah,
like
with just the most uppity music when people are literally about to be mauled to death by a fucking gigantic monster bear.
Yeah. God. Yeah, music.
So I don't have too much in the way of good stuff, but I will say there were a couple of lines of dialogue that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when we're introduced to Ned's sister, she asks, "How about a Bloody Mary?" And his response is, "No, it's too late or too early or something." And I just thought that is the best response to anybody asking for a Bloody Mary
Yeah.
ever. It's like
Pretty good.
it's too late, it's too early, or something. Like that's how I feel. Anytime anybody orders a Bloody Mary ever, even if it is at the appropriate time, I hate it so much. It's the dumbest. It's the dumbest drink. And if you like Bloody Marys, if you really enjoy them, listen, I accept all human beings, but you can go fuck. All right?
That's-
Like, go fuck. Like,
Kelsey was the
tomato
best.
juice is just gross, and then vodka is also kind of lame. So, like, I don't know. You put the two together, and I'm just not impressed. You try and bedazzle it with bacon and celery and bullshit, but like, get the fuck out of town. And whatever she's drinking in the movie just looks like straight up tomato juice. There's
Yeah.
no seasoning whatsoever going on in there. So, blah blah blah.
I love
Gross.
that after that line, she walks over to the bar anyways, because I was just gonna make herself one, and picks up a bottle of Jack, and the lid, there's no cap on it.
Uh,
She like takes a look at it and then puts it back.
yeah. I got excited because I was like, "Oh, what is she gonna do? Is she
Yeah.
gonna skip over the bloodies and just have some Jack because that's classy?" But no. Instead, she reaches for the vodka and Bloody Mary that's just sitting out on the bar already
Yeah, it
from
looks
the
like
night before. Who knows?
there's
Um,
no ice in it either.
She's also like a mother to a young child, and she's like drinking Bloody Marys on just like a Tuesday or whatever. It's fine, whatever. This is supposed to be the good stuff. um, and in the same breath, in the same scene, rather, Ned, his sister's talking about him trying to find uh, a a girlfriend or something like that, even though he looks like he's in his late 70s, probably be better off just dying alone at that point. But she says that Frank has a sister that's single or whatever, and Ned's response is Frank has two sisters, one's uglier than the other. uh,
For
there's just no pleasing this man, I tell you.
catching strays.
uh, but I really like both those lines of dialogue. They both made me laugh. So, anyways, I hand it over to you, sir.
I put the music also.
Oh yeah, I did like the score quite a bit. I think there's
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there for sure, but there's some good cues.
Yeah, there's some good ones in there. I love the little fucking trill note. I like there's a scene where like it should be, I feel like really sad, which kind of reminds me of Grizzly, and it's like probably like one of the most like upbeat songs in the whole movie. Like the mixed emotions.
Is it the scene with the extremely like long take, the like long pan, or am I thinking of something else?
It's when the Coast Guards are coming back in, and it's like I think it's nighttime at this point.
Oh yeah, it's that really long take that like it pans out and then pans into like the what's his name finding out that like his wife is dead or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yep.
yeah, smoking a cigarette. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole scene. It's like this like upbeat, like jazzy little tune. I'm like, this is depressing. What's happening?
I have more on that later.
All right. Well, I like the music overall, it's the 70s, like Grizzly. Like I loved it in that movie too, and it was fucking weird as shit.
You can tell how Italian this music is.
Oh yeah.
You just know that there's
I
some
can't hide it.
Italian composer that's just like, yeah, we'll just do this here, and it'll be great, and they'll love it. It'll make them scared, and then we'll make them happy right after. It'll be great.
You don't understand cinema.
I apologize to all Italian people out there. I mean, zero offense, I promise. Um, uh, on that note, I do think the first underwater attack with the first set of divers that goes down,
Yeah.
it's always like two divers in this movie. I don't know what's going on with that, but the first
Well,
set
he's
of
just-
divers that go down and they first come upon the cave, that when the octopus shoots its ink out
Yeah.
and like takes that guy, that I thought that was a very effective moment, very eerie. And then when the guy gets back into the tube, and he sees the eyeball, like
Yeah.
I thought that was all actually pretty creepy.
That was a great scene. Yeah, I loved that one actually because they even have it like trailing through the seaweed, following him a bit.
Yeah.
He's just like booking it back to the little tank. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yelling to get pulled back up. Yeah, that was pretty sick. I did like that scene. That was a good. It set the tone differently than what the rest of the movie kind of did.
For sure.
Because
So
I
this
watched it last night, and I got through that whole scene. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be entertaining. This is gonna be fun. And then I fell asleep. And then when I watched the rest of it today, I'm like, what the fuck happened? I remember being way more hyped up about this last night.
Yes, everything's always better in the night, isn't it? It's just like at the end of the night when they turn on the bar lights and you're like, oh God, no. Not you, please.
It really kills my Bloody Mary buzz, you know.
Oh boy. Man, that's kind of a segue into my next comment here that I liked, which was it's another quote. Mommy, you're plump. There's more to love. I'm
She like thanks him, right?
yeah, she's like, oh, you know how to compliment me, just like your dad. Like that is a inappropriate thing for a son to say to a mother, but their relationship is about as believable as Santa Claus, as far as I'm concerned. So,
I hate her. So
yeah, she's very annoying. Very annoying character. That's all I have. Do you have more good stuff?
Nothing other than like very like pinpoint scenes, kind of like little shit like that. Yeah, there was stuff. I mean, I don't know. There was stuff like the when you were talking about dialogue, I had one written down where he's like, they're trying to figure out what it is exactly that's doing this, and he goes, "I'm thinking a giant octopus."
I have that written down, but it's in my bad. It's in my bad stuff. But we've come across this before, haven't we? You and I have different definitions of what good and bad is. We need to get on the same page here, pal.
Very purple Venn diagram.
Oh man.
That was a good one. Fuck, some of the effects I put in my goods. I think I put them in both, honestly.
Oh, like the end with the orcas attacking, which are pretty much, I'm sure they're like hand puppets.
That one, the night one, where it's just like aggressively a toy boat.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's rough, man. Some of those models, I'm just like,
Think it all fast, and the bubbles are like bigger than the windows.
Yeah. I'm like you need to make like models that are not full-size boats but are not toys. You need something in the middle. That's how most movies do it. Yeah. Like you can tell just by the weight of the thing. You're like, okay, that is a shot that was shot in a bathtub.
Yeah. Really dark bathtub. Yeah.
Oh man.
Those are pretty much that's most my the last one I had were toy orcas.
Yes. Hand puppets. Just the way their mouths move.
And they go
Oh man. It's great. Highly entertained by that. At least for the first half of that fucking 30-minute fight scene at the end there.
Christ.
Oh boy.
Like,
Well,
man, this guy's arm must be getting tired.
can, sir, can we stop, Mr. Director, sir? No, you go.
Cue the jazz.
Oh boy. All right. Well, without any further ado, we gotta head off of these beautiful white sand beaches out into the open ocean because I think I see something out there, and I'm pretty sure that's Ben Gardner's boat. Ben Gardner's boat is the section where we talk about the things we didn't like about the movie. And Lord, I have essays and short stories and quite frankly novellas over here as far as all the things I didn't like about this movie. But I went first last time, so take it away, pal.
Things I didn't like, man. I do have quite a list, but the first one, because for whatever reason, I waited quite a ways before I started writing down the things I didn't like. The way that the fat guy gets pranked by the other guy twice, not once, but twice, that he's getting attacked in open water, really pissed me off. Just the writing about that. I'm like, what are we doing?
I think that lends itself to pacing issues, which I know I have written down and will probably continue to harp on throughout the rest of my notes. But yeah, there are numerous things where you're like, okay, we
Yeah,
get it, move
exactly.
on.
Yeah.
And maybe had that been done in a more effective manner, like
Right.
you could have gotten away with a second fake out jump scare. But yeah, I also kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, why are we doing that again?
Yeah.
Wow, you did wait for a long time. That's like
I was holding out.
almost halfway through the movie there. Mine start pretty much at the very beginning, which is did they just refer to that baby as a little fatso?
Fuck, I didn't put that in my. Oh, I must not have. I put it somewhere else. I put it in the kills, I think. that I was like.
Oh yeah, when the octopus got that little fatso, I thought that was great.
I was like, the first kill in this movie is technically a child, an infant.
It's an infant.
Infant in a stroller. That was another thing. I was watching this like super late last night. I'm like, what the fuck?
Pulling out all the stops right there.
Yeah, just going for broke right out the gate. We got them. They're hooks now.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty like I was like, oh my god, like is that something people did in the 70s? They just referred to babies like it's not even her baby. It's her friend's baby. She's like, hey, how's your little fatso? Anyways, it's fine. Someone called my kid a little fatso. I think I'd throat punch him, but whatever, it's cool. This coming from the guy that, like, as I'm holding my newborn son, I started calling him Mr. Chubbs. So I can do it, you can't.
That's right, yeah.
A little bit further on, it is the third attack that happens within like a 5-minute span. So we have the baby, then we have the fisherman, then we have the two teenagers on a boat that oh, I guess they don't get attacked. They find the body of the dead fisherman that
That's
surfaces right next to him. But right before that, the young man is telling the the young lady that he is with that all these other girls are better kissers. And did you get the message from Andrew right now?
Yeah.
Andrew, both of us have seen this video, and we're recording a podcast right now.
Fuck.
How dare you interrupt us? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Great video.
He's He's gonna
I think
get a
that's
fucking
why.
kick out of this when we call him out on the air.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyways, before we are rudely interrupted by our friend Andrew, you son of a bitch. Yeah, the teenage boy on the boat is telling the girl he's with about all these other girls that are better kissers,
Right.
and she is I would say she's a slightly overweight young lady, and I just have here a young man is sexually abused by a substantially larger female counterpart. She lays down on top of him and begins to
Down,
kiss
right?
him, and
Yeah.
he's like asking her to stop, telling her to get off of him, and she won't do it until a corpse surfaces from the water. So boy, babies being killed and teenagers being sexually abused by one another, that is a hell of a way to start your picture.
It really was. Like,
All right. Your turn, pal.
The next one I had was the shakiest fucking helicopter footage.
Oh,
Every single aerial shot made me want to fucking vomit. It was like a fucking gunner in Vietnam was videotaping this thing.
Dude, some of these shots, like, they're like on the back of people's heads, like super close. And it just like the camera moves as the person moves, and then like the person's out of frame, and then it begins to zoom out really, that 70s zoom out that it does. But like it's like trying to catch up with the person moving out of frame. I'm like, who was the cinematographer? Was it the director? Because
painful.
He's not paying attention to half the shit in his movie, his actors, his the script. So I imagine he's not paying attention to the camera either, but good God, the cinematography overall, I would say is rough.
Yeah, it's a little painful. Speaking of, I also put in the fucking weird ass still shots, the like montage still shots.
I have that listed here too. I have no idea what that's about or why that was
I
something
I couldn't tell if I liked them or not, but man, it was
the more I saw them, the more I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, like, I was like looking away. I can't remember if I was eating or if I was helping my son with something, but like I just looked up and it was frozen, and I'm like, huh? And then it went to another frozen picture, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And then it went back to the moving picture, and I'm like, I don't understand what that was for. And I was like, well, maybe I missed something. And I'm like, I'm not too concerned about it, whatever it was. And then it just happened again. I was like, oh no, I didn't miss anything. They're just doing stuff.
Artistic choice.
They're like, they got in the editing room. They're like, you know what? This movie's boring. Let's liven it up with some still photography.
And then the last still one would be like what rolls into the action, like that one. Mm-hmm. Then like they like press play on that one. Like,
so weird. So weird. Oh man. So when the first divers go down, they're in this yellow tube, and they're talking about pressure and everything like that, which makes sense. You have to pressurize, depressurize, going, and they even make mention of it. The oceanographer Will says that he got the bends at some time back or something like that. Which is why his wife is so concerned about his well-being and everything. But they go down in this tube, they land, and so my thought process as far as what I know about these things is that they would put on their scuba gear, and then that tube would probably fill up with water, and they would probably, equal to the pressure from that, right? It slowly lets in water, and then their bodies adjust to it because they just drop down in a dry tube. Right. But what happens is they open up the bottom of the tube, water doesn't go in, a guy goes out, another guy's in there still with putting on his mask while the other guy's already swimming.
Right.
And there's no water going into that tube. And I don't know how they were able to pressurize properly by just
Yeah.
getting out of the tube
At like some
in
crazy depth.
water that their bodies have not adjusted to. They're still inside the thing.
Yeah.
But once they none of this makes sense to me. I mean, granted, I'm not a scientist. I don't know these things. I've never gone scuba diving, but I know that that doesn't really, like, if you open up a barrel underwater, then water will go into the barrel, but that is not what happens here. So at the very least, that part doesn't make any fucking sense. So this, this is one of the things I love about Italian movies. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Italian movies because they just throw caution to the wind and they're like, yeah, no, it doesn't have to make sense. We're making our movie. But, when you're dealing with things like scientists and you're trying to make an effort in your dialogue about these things, then if you're trying to be smart in your script, which the script is very much not smart, not as smart as it is pretending to be by any means,
No.
but if you don't, at least try to do that with what you're showing on the screen as well, then it's double dumb is what it is.
Exactly.
That fucking sombrero Ned's sister wears pisses me off. She looks like fucking what's his name? What's the little rat's name? The little mouse cartoon Looney Tunes character?
Oh fuck. It's not Mighty Mouse, it's the other one.
It's a very
Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy.
very racially inappropriate character that it bothers me. Huh?
Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, duh. How did I not know that? Speedy Gonzalez.
Yep.
It looks like she's trying to be Speedy Gonzalez in that fucking sombrero. So, anyways,
somewhere else too.
go ahead. Take a turn, please.
Animal sounds underwater.
Yeah, well, not just animal sounds, like animals that don't have vocal cords.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the octopus is one thing. I knew they were going to do that. I knew it was coming, especially after the first scene when you see its eyeball and it's like, Roar. Yeah.
Okay, I'm almost kind of forgiving in that regard because, like, I'm like, all the other dumb things in that, yeah, sure, let the octopus make noise. Why the fuck not? But
when I wrote it down, it was because I don't remember which pair of scuba divers are there. I think it's towards the end, actually.
Oh, the fish that's like fighting something, right? So loud.
It goes like eat something out of the water, and it's like they bang a piece of metal as the sound effect.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is like a stingray going by, and it scares the guy, and it's like a shriek.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not sure, like, because you've just done the sound with the fish,
right?
Like munching on something that scared the guy because that fishes eat really loud, apparently.
Deafening.
But like, I don't know if the sound of the stingray is supposed to be diegetic. Like, is it part of what's actually happening underwater, or is it just a sound effect? Because I would say there's really some inconsistencies with the stings, like the musical stings, and the actual sound effects used in the movie. It is a little confusing. Yeah.
I had the subtitles on at one point, and I looked over and was watching it, and it said in quotation marks, "octopus growling."
Great. All right. There's no denying it now. That octopus is making sounds.
It's like, which Jaws was it when that one's fucking bucking around out in the water?
It's the Revenge.
Oh, that's right.
It's just like fucking roaring like a goddamn lion at the end of that movie. You're like, I don't understand. Did no one do their research? Come on, folks. Oh boy.
That was the last one.
Okay, so I have two big like what the f things, and this is the first one of them. In the beginning of the movie, the baby is referred to as a he, and the mother calls him Billy. When the sheriff and Ned Turner are discussing the deaths of the victims, they're in the police station, they're discussing the deaths of the victims and what they have in common. Um uh they refer to the baby as a she multiple times.
I didn't catch
They
that.
say her carriage. They say she was in the water, but she didn't jump in the water. So how did she get in the water?
Jesus.
No wonder these jackasses can't figure out what the fuck's going on. They don't even know if one of the victims is a boy or a girl.
That little fatso.
I had it like well, the baby was so fat we couldn't see its genitals. um no, I was watching the movie in um on a big screen TV, and I was like, wait a minute, and like paused it there, like hopped on my phone, hopped on hopped on Prime, like clicked on the thing, went all the way back to the beginning and watched that scene 2 times. I was like, nope, baby's definitely a boy. They refer the women when they're talking refer to him as he, and then
Wow.
she calls the mom calls him Billy. Like, okay.
Yikes.
And in to piggyback on that, there are 3 variations of the name William in this movie. 3 different characters have variations of the name William. We have Baby Billy, we have Fisherman Bill, and we have the oceanographer Will. When I heard the oceanographer's name, I had to double back and be like, did they just say Bill again? For fuck's sake.
God damn. No wonder.
I don't know. Like, I don't understand this script. I don't understand like how you could let a whole scene like that play out where characters are referring to a character as a girl when it was clearly a boy. And then
Maybe
why
that's
would you
why.
have multiple characters all with the same name?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because this is Italian, was like, do you think maybe maybe the original thing was the baby was a girl, and you know how they go back and they dub, they dub a lot of the dialogue and everything, like in that opening scene, like the way the mother talks, you
Yeah.
can tell that her voice has been dubbed. That's not the real woman on the day doing that recording. That was like, somebody
Yeah.
in a studio doing that. But like, even still, like, the words match her mouth. The words match what she's saying, not perfectly, but she's still saying the things that the mouth is saying. So I have no fucking idea. This is just some like crazy ass like foreign film bullshit that I just don't even know what the fuck. But
That's why they introduced the oceanographer, and they're like, fuck, dude, just change it to a girl in that scene. Don't say Billy. Like, well, should we change the name? No, just change the gender.
Yeah, it's fine. We can't have the name Bill or Will. We can't have Williams left and right in this movie. That'd be weird.
We're gonna see the kid again. Oh no, it's a girl now.
Yeah, no one will remember. This is why you listen to the Johnny Jaws cast, folks. We get down to the nitty gritty of it all. Shit that the filmmakers thought you wouldn't catch, we caught for you. So many people that are listening to this podcast are going to be like, yeah, you know what? I got to go watch Tentacles now.
Don't do it. That's why we make these podcasts. We watch these movies so that you don't have to.
You're welcome.
Our new tagline.
All right, pal. What's another one you got for me?
I think that was all the ones I had.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, those are all
boy,
mine.
I
Yeah,
got
you
a,
gotta keep
I got a
you gotta let right.
laundry list there. Okay. I'm just gonna blow through them then.
Yeah, let it.
Will says, so there's a scene where the oceanographer Will and his wife are arguing about, you know, how long he's gonna go underwater because she doesn't want him to dive or whatever. So he says he won't stay under longer than 3 minutes and won't go under 120 feet. And the very next scene, um, she's talking to her sister and says that he says he won't stay under for longer than 3 minutes and won't go deeper than 150 feet. This is another, it's not as bad as the, boy being a girl thing, but it's still an inconsistency that I'm like, what the fuck? And then the scene in question, when he goes underwater, he's under there for like 15 to 20 minutes, Like they're in a little boat
Oh
zooming
yeah,
around down there, taking pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh
that
yeah,
boat's
that was
fucking cool.
totally like 3 minutes for sure. And they didn't even go deep. If like you're not like you're not going that deep if you have that boat, not deep enough that like
Right.
you're in any like super duper, like that's just like I feel like that's a casual like scuba diving depth. Like I don't understand what the
One for
concern
free.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not like they're going deep sea diving or anything like that. So I don't fucking know. Um
I don't ever want to go scuba diving, but if I do, the stipulation is that I want one of those boats.
yeah, those will be your stipulations. Nothing over. I will not go 120 feet below 120 feet, and I will only do it for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, me in the boat.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. I also have, only one thing could have done this. I'm thinking giant octopus. I went and looked up how big octopi can get. And they can get pretty big.
What's
Um,
I'm curious.
I think the biggest that was like on record was one that had like a 20-foot tentacle span,
Whoa.
which is pretty sizable. But um, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like giant squid are like something like you should be concerned about running into. Giant octopus, I'm not as like that wouldn't be where if I was an oceanographer, like that wouldn't be where my brain went. I would be like, probably a giant squid, if anything. You could have made it. It's called tentacles. It's not called octopus. It could have been a giant squid. on on the same note, there is in that I do believe it's a scene shortly afterwards where Ned, the writer, the journalist, Ned is talking to Will, the oceanographer, and the sheriff's there too, and they're talking about the giant octopus, blah blah blah, and then they're like, "Oh, we got to go stop the boat race that's happening right now," even though everything's been sectioned off, but like Ned asked Will like what the radius is of what um the octopus can be about, and he uses the word, he calls the octopus a giant squid, and
Right.
Will doesn't correct him.
Yeah, that's right. I remember hearing that.
I was like, that's a weird, they're not the same thing. And I feel like I don't know. This guy, Will, is quite possibly one of the worst oceanographers in the history of. Like he literally trapped orcas, like caught them and trapped them, and then became their trainer. I'm like, this is not what an oceanographer does at all. Actually, very much about preserving the ocean life and
Right.
studying in a out in the wild. I don't know. This is of all the nits to pick, right? Yeah, I did have like, what the fuck is that long ass tracking shot after Will's wife is attacked for? Like, I mean, it goes on for a while. Like, I was again doing stuff, like looked up, I was like, oh, that's what's going on, cool. Looked up again, I'm like, okay, we're still okay, that's fine. And then looked up a third time and it was still going, and I'm like, I have to watch this now because I need to know how long this is gonna go on.
I'm invested.
Can't believe I missed out on the first 5 minutes of this 10-minute tracking shot.
Of all these fucking backup actors fucking walking
Yeah.
around.
I was like, what is the purpose of this? I'm like, nobody cared about that broad anyways. Like, you don't even like her, Will.
Right? It's like the entire shot of the boats just like cruising into the harbor. And
Yeah,
like,
like,
it's a no wake
what?
zone. Gotta go slow.
I have freeze frames in there. Okay, my other big one, my other big thing that I caught that it was like, how the fuck can you let this happen? There is the boat scene is happening, and Ned's sister, Tommy's mother, is trying to get him on the radio.
Oh, right.
And the first part of the segment of this scene, she keeps saying Jamie, Jamie, Jamie. And I'm like, wait, isn't Jamie the friend?
Yeah.
Like, why is she trying to get Jamie on the radio? Isn't her son Tommy?
Right.
I'm like, maybe I have it mixed up. But then she goes, Jamie, answer your mother. I'm like, I had to have it mixed up. And I'm like, but I don't think I did. So I paused the movie, pulled out my phone, hopped on Prime, zipped all the way back to like where they're at the table, and she's got the fucking sombrero on, and Tommy is her son.
Yeah.
Not Jamie. Jamie's the other broad son.
And they're in that whole sign-up booth. She has that weird scene where they're like both her sons. She's being all weird about it or some shit.
Yeah.
And at the very end, she talks about how his mother is at work and will need to sign up later or some shit.
Yeah. So
what's going on in this scene?
But she calls, and then it cuts away back to the boats, and then cuts back to her, and then she's saying Tommy, Tommy again. I'm like, was the first take like her saying Jamie and then being like, oh no, your son's Tommy. Remember, your son's Tommy, and they just used the wrong take? Like, I don't understand. You're confusing boys with girls. You're having a mother not even know her own son's name. Like,
Yeah, I was like, one thing because they're on the same boat, but then when she's like, it's your mother or whatever, I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, we don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
No one knows what's fucking going on in this movie.
Who is in the editing room letting these things happen? Just dub. You dub. Yeah. You're doing bad dubbing across the board. Anyways, just dub some shitty dialogue. Doesn't matter if the words move. Just have it be the correct dialogue.
Let it ride.
Oh, god damn.
There's a scene with the oceanographer and his wife when they're like at home talking, and she walks across the like scene, and he's like sitting on the stairs or something, and it's like the volume's super low, and they like didn't dub over him, but you can see him talking, and then the volume just cuts in, and he's like mid sentence. Yeah. One of them. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? That was one of the first dubs that I noticed. I'm like, oh, that was rough.
It's janky. I got the sailboat attack is pretty lame. Like the whole thing, just the way it plays out.
So cool.
Yeah, and it's just people like being scared of the camera and their boats getting knocked over. We just don't see anything, and I'll explain more about that why a little bit later on. But still, just all the same sort of shots, just again and again and again, repeated again and again. Yeah, I do like the last shot of the octopus taking down the sailboat with the boy in it at the end. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they finally got
oceanographer throws a cigarette into the ocean.
Oh, I missed that.
Just like the worst. And he's keeping orcas locked in that tube while they're just floating around waiting for trying to find the octopus, and they're just in that tube Two of them.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm watching the scene where he's sitting on the tube, like having his moment, talking to the orcas, and I was like, are they both supposed to be in this tube that's the size of like the boat, if not smaller? I'm like, two.
I don't. It's not big enough for one of them, let alone two.
Yeah.
And he's before that, he's going on talking to his buddy at the dinner table about like how they're like they've got a bond and everything, and but also like multiple times he told the guy like in the beginning when he's first introduced, he's like, you got to be a little bit harder on him, you know, you can't be too soft with him, you know, you got to be tough. And then when they're on the boat and whatever, and his buddy's like, yeah, they're acting a little skittish or whatever, probably because they're locked in a fucking tube. He's like, maybe just don't feed him for a while. I'm like, what the fuck? And then when he's doing his whole spiel, he's like, yeah, you know, if you decide you want to go out into the ocean and not come back, I'd understand. Like, do you?
Yeah, you'd be lucky if they didn't fucking kill you the second you open the
know.
tube you have them crammed into, allegedly.
Oh my god. I'm just like so flabbergasted by that all of that whole thing. He's the worst character. He's just such horrible. The worst. I wish he died so hard. And yeah, man, the pacing of this movie is so rough. Like the last 20 minutes, this movie drags because we just have two guys. We went from a whole group of people trying to figure out what was going on, and then they just axe everybody. Like Ned, who's like the main character.
Yeah.
Just don't find out what happens to him. Don't find out what happens to the sheriff. Don't find out what happens to the corporation that is supposedly doing bad things that, you know, pissed off this octopus. Like,
to begin with.
Don't find out about the guy who was, you know, cheating and trying to steal money from his boss, basically. Like, don't find out about any of that. All that gets cut, you know, and we just are stuck with two dudes on a boat, just kind of like chatting or whatever, in what I'm assuming is supposed to be reminiscent of, you know, the scenes of the men on the boat in Jaws, but like it just grinds to a halt. And then we have the final confrontation with the orcas and the octopus, and Will's companion being stuck under the thing without an oxygen tank, even though Will gives him like oxygen like once we see, but then he, you know, is trying to dig him out of the rocks, and somehow this guy's able to breathe. And then, you know, we don't see Will give him his oxygen tank at all when they're trying to, you know, make it to the surface. This guy's just blowing out bubbles the whole time. I'm like, is this guy ever going to get air? Meanwhile, the orcas and the octopus are just battling it out for really like what is like a 10-minute scene, and it's just hand puppets and tentacles, and I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, isn't the fucking thing dead yet? I mean, they've been attacking it nonstop. Like, just ended already.
It showed the octopus like climb into that cave at one point, and that's like the only time you see it. And the rest is just like shot from the inside of the cave out.
Yeah.
Just.
And then I thought one of it was the tentacles, and then I realized I was like, oh no, that's the orca. I can see its mouth doing this, its shadows. I'm like, oh man, I thought it looked bad. I thought it looked bad when you could actually see the orcas, but when it's just the shadow, it does just look like a hand doing this. Like, ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Wow. Good Lord. That was a lot. And I apologize to the listeners because, you know, this is, I don't pick these movies to just like hate on them. I really don't. A lot of them I want to watch because I want to see cool aquatic monster movies. And oh boy, I'm a fool. But all this spewing of hatred and frustration has left me a mite peckish, one might say, which is fortunate because we're being called back in, and we are gonna go enjoy some dinner at the Brody's.
How was your day? well.
So here we are at the Brodies, and we're sitting down for dinner. And in this section, we discuss what are the inspirations that this film takes from Jaws, because Tentacles is, for all intents and purposes, a Jaws ripoff, just like all the other films we've covered on this podcast thus far. B-Rye, do you have anything specific that you want to list out here?
The two I put that weren't like just, obviously directly on the nose of this money grab of a movie, were two like particular scenes.
Yeah.
So I put the back of the boat being torn off when his wife's being attacked. Was a big one. I was like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
And I love that they like keep it as such a scene where like she's climbing her way back up it, kind of, and they shot it from behind too. I'm like, wow, just it's going for it.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, it is one of the better scenes of the movie. So
it really is.
They, stole more from Jaws. It could have been better,
right?
But,
yeah, at that point, might as well, right?
Yeah.
That one and the sailboat race, or as it's called in the movie, the yacht race.
Yes.
That one was another one, but that's more of like a what is that one? That's 2? No.
Yeah, which was technically not released yet, because this film is 77 and Jaws 2 comes out in 78.
That's true.
So they actually get a pass on that one.
I didn't even think about that.
So I got scenes here too, because obviously we can go through all the bullshit. You have the oceanographer, you have the sheriff, you have the cranky old man that, I would say serves as, I feel like Quint is broken into the Will oceanographer character a bit, and Ned the journalist a bit. You kind of have those two. Again, Ned is by far the most interesting character in this movie, and for some reason he is not in the final act whatsoever. But you have those things. You have the kind of mayor aspect of the film with the company, the bad, corporate monster greed over there, sort of a thing. There's plenty of different things to really pick at here. I think specifically right after, or right before rather, what the scene that you said when the octopus attacks the boat is when they find the wreckage of the other boat.
Yeah.
From earlier in the day, and I was like, oh, that feels very much like when they come across Ben Gardner's boat in Jaws.
Yep.
And then very, very close to what you said as far as the sailing thing. Right before that, there's the little parade and boat montage for leading up to the sailboat race. But that specific montage feels very similar to the 4th of July montage that we get halfway through Jaws.
Remembering that fucking Uncle Sam character in the movie, he's going on like is like a comedy stint for like 5 minutes.
Wait, what?
While the yacht race is happening, the fucking Uncle Sam mayor dude's fucking doing a comedy skit in the
yes.
Yes,
I do. Yeah, I do remember, again, like that was definitely one of the parts when I was like doing something else or whatever, and I just was like, I don't know what's happening right now. I don't think I need to, sort of thing. But yeah, anyways, I'm sure there's more things, and that we could really, obviously the guy sitting down at the table near the end of the movie, and Will's talking about how much he loves his orcas and definitely not reminiscing about, how his wife is dead, and he's definitely not distraught about that when he very much should be, but he's talking about his special relationship with orcas, because I think we need to ask those orcas to blink twice if they're in danger, because he's got a weird obsession with them. But that whole scene is definitely not anything trying to be like, the USS Indianapolis speech.
But they
You
changed
know,
the second guy comes in, and Will goes to pour him some scotch. He's like, no, 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 I'm good, I'm good.
I know it was very,
Well,
it was very like,
I'm not
wow,
drinking.
like, yeah. I was like, it couldn't have been subtle. Like, it's just like, no, I'm good. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it's
geez.
very aggressive.
Yeah. Anyways, all that said, speaking of drinking, now that we're all full from this lovely uh dinner the Brodies put on for us, thank you, Mrs. Brody. I think it's time for a cocktail. So we're gonna head on down to the Amity Bar. Here at the Amity Bar, Brian and I like to post up right next to the well. A couple of bartenders right here. And so we're going to discuss our two of our favorite things, which is alcohol and shitty aquatic horror movies. So, B-Rye, if you were going to host a party and you were going to invite all of your best pals over, and the film you were showing was Tentacles, and you had a drink paired along with it because you're fancy like that and you like a whole theme vibe going on, what drink would you be serving while watching Tentacles?
I picked two. Want me to do one? Then you can do one. How many did you pick?
I just picked the one, but
Um,
I'll that's fine with me if you want to do it like that.
okay, well, the first one I picked is a double scotch. Uh, the Seagram's 100 Pipers, to be exact.
Oh, do tell.
It's, I had to freeze the frame and do a little digging. I had to take a screenshot, zoom in like I'm on CSI, enhance that bitch, and do a reverse image search. But it is the bottle of scotch that Will's drinking when they're not having a drink together and bonding in the boat while he's worried about his fucking orcas.
That's good.
But I
Nice.
did a
Good work.
double because I liked when Ned meets with the shady businessman in his bar, and
Yeah.
and he orders a double scotch, and he calls
Yes.
him out for being nervous because he's not a drinker because he made it a double. I'm like, God, dude, you're such a dick.
Like there's like two things on top of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like you being a bitch, which the guy is a douchebag, so yeah, you can be a bitch to him. But I'm like, also like, you're calling him out for not drinking. Like that's not
While he's
it's
trying
not
to drink.
really a bad thing, you know. If you're not a drinker, then that's usually like
Yeah.
cool.
And he's
And then I
trying
like
to drink.
I looked at Ned and I was like, dude, you're probably like, I don't know, 45 right now. You probably should have quit a long time ago, pal.
Too real. Yeah, it's such a fucking. I mean, so many odd scenes, but yeah, that one stuck
Yeah.
out too.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I went oddly enough, this pairs very well with your breakdown from earlier. I went with a Sex on the Beach
Ooh.
because I feel like all the women in this movie like seem like they're borderline horny. They're not like throwing themselves at the men, but they do just all kind of, I don't know. It's probably just like because it's an Italian movie and that's just how they portray their women specifically in horror movies, I feel like. So um this is just coming from the ones that I've watched. But Sex on the Beach is comprised of vodka, peach schnapps. You have the option of adding Chambord, which is raspberry liqueur. Um, then it's cranberry juice and orange juice, and it's a tasty little beverage, but it's definitely more style over substance, which I think very much suits this film. So, yeah, I mean, I would probably have to drink, I'd say, uh, 4 or 5 of these to really kind of be in the zone to really enjoy Tentacles to the max.
That
But
would make more sense.
yeah, absolutely it would. Maybe that's what I was missing this time around.
That's right.
Next time I watch it, I'm just gonna be smashed,
On
plastered,
on Sex
as
on
they
the Beach.
say. I'm gonna take a page out of Ned's book and just be a full blown alcoholic all the time.
In your nightie.
That was weird too, right? Like, what the fuck? What is this? The 1800s? Why is he wearing a nightgown?
A full
In
length night.
yes,
While
like
his sister's talking about how she boned some Italian like bartender or something the night before.
yeah, yeah. God,
They're
that
so
that
old.
that family dynamic is
They're
real
so
weird.
old. And then the son
Yeah,
showed up right afterwards. He's like,
yeah.
"Hmm."
Well, I mean, she looks like she's like in her 40s. He looks like he's almost 80. So I'm wondering just like what's the how how are you guys so close as brother and sister? Maybe you're not. Maybe that's why it's okay that he's walking around in a nightie and she's, boning Italian men right next door. I don't know.
Right? Well, then they're saying like she's trying to set him up with those two sisters who he calls ugly. And then he's like, didn't we have this conversation 40 years ago? And she was like, yeah, we did, like right behind this couch because we were whispering so mom and papa wouldn't hear us. And they talk about how they're dead now, but or how maybe they could hear them now. I'm like, 40 years ago? I'm like, bro, you
Yeah.
were like 40 when that conversation happened
Yeah. And how old was she? 10? Like, Jesus.
then. Yeah, that makes sense that you'd be whispering behind the
Nope.
couch so that your
Really does not.
2-year-old parents couldn't hear you.
Like, how old are we supposed to like believe Ned is? Like,
Right, that's what I'm curious too.
oh boy. Um,
Anyways.
okay. Your second drink, because
Oh
you're
yes,
getting smashed tonight at this bar, god damn it.
right. I did some digging, obviously, based off my keywords, but I found that you can buy squid ink and put it in
Uh-huh.
cocktails.
No shit.
Yeah. Apparently, it obviously you don't need much of it to like change the color of anything, and it's very salty, which sounds
Okay.
gross to me. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I found some recipe that this guy was like, yeah, you can get it at like your local fish market if you have one nearby, and they'll sell it to you or whatever. But yeah, he like mixed it into certain cocktails. Oh, I took a picture of one of them. The one he makes looks fucking killer because he like garnished it. Let's see if it'll show up on here. He garnished it to look like
Oh,
little tentacles.
that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's just black, like jet black.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty sick. So it was just like a classic like gin or a vodka martini, but with a couple drops of that shaken in it first, and it makes
I
it.
bet it's I was gonna say, yeah, I bet that's very similar to like having an olive juice,
Right. Yeah, he was like, it'll like yeah, you can replace it for like if you wanted like a dirty martini. Was the idea.
It's pretty nifty. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But I
I
was
like
like,
that.
yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, man, that's dope.
Gross,
Good
but
work there. Good work there, V-Ray. I like that. I do not like dirty martinis at all, but I'd give it a shot. Fuck it.
love
You
me a
only
dirty
live once.
martini.
Wake up the next day with a tentacle grown out of my forehead, it'd be fine. Um, well, I think we're pretty schmammered here. So we're gonna walk on down the path, have ourselves just a wee little nightcap down at Quint's shack. At Quint's shack, we take a look at all of his beautiful sets of jaws from all the mini sharks that he's killed. We try whatever weird concoction of liquor he's made himself that tastes like acid, and we discuss who is the better great white hunter, Sam Quint from Jaws, or we really don't have a fair substitute in Tentacles.
It has to be Will, right?
It has to be Will or Bill, the fisherman,
William,
who dies.
hermaphrodite infant.
or Billy. There's just really no contest. Quint.
All day.
Everybody in this movie, with the exception of Ned, sucks. So, all right. Well, let's get the hell out of Quint's shack and head out to sea. Here, out on the open ocean, we will discuss the behind the scenes of Tentacles. And once again, this will be brought to you by Wikipedia. Verified, 100% factual. The production of the film, Tentacles was produced to capitalize on the success of what film, Brian?
Razorback.
Close, but no cigar. Razorback would not be made for a couple more years in the 1980s.
Oh, damn. 84, right?
I think it was 84.
I looked it up this morning because I was looking for a picture. I think it was 84.
Razorback?
Yeah, I think so.
I like that movie a lot. I really
do. It was fucking great. I'd watch that again. I would never watch Tentacles again. Tentacles?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually own Razorback too. Like, I've watched that movie a couple of times. I'm a big fan.
Make it sound like you don't own Tentacles.
I might have been very close to buying a copy of Tentaculos. And I'm very glad I didn't. Even though that cover art, man.
That's the only reason I would buy it.
That'll really in, man. It really will.
I would buy it and I'd put it on my wall as like typography inspiration.
Man, that's where all the budget went. It was just
clearly
poster art.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, Tentacles was produced to capitalize on the success of Steven Spielberg's Jaws, and as such was produced on a much smaller budget of $750,000, which is going to be conflicting with other stuff that we read about later, but whatever. This is fact, ladies and gentlemen. It's on Wikipedia. The initial script, which was much more comedic and satirized the killer animals subgenre, but after executive producer Samuel Z. Arkoff had his writer Stephen W. Karabatos retool it, it became much more serious. Casting. The lead actors were American, while the supporting cast was mostly Italian. Video G. Sonatis, the director. His first choice was for the lead role was the Duke, John Wayne. Wayne accepted the role, but after the director met him at his home in Texas, he realized the actor was far too ill to play the part. Wayne would ultimately die of cancer in 1979. God damn it. Why can't I ever get a name that's easy to say? The director, I am so sorry, sir, if you're still alive. I am so apologetic to all Italian folk out there. It's too many S's and I's, and I'm not having it right now. I apologize sincerely.
Real quick, they were they trying to get John Wayne to play like the reporter Ned? Was that the idea?
So okay, no, so
All right, go ahead.
here we go. It says that the director turned to Henry Fonda, who had recently appeared in a string of Italian productions. So, okay, here we go. No, this is going to explain it all. However, the actor had suffered a heart attack shortly before filming. Since Fonda had already taken a large advance, he was giving the supporting role of Mr. Whitehead. So he ended up playing the main businessman, not the one who's the shady guy, but the older gentleman who owns the company, while John Huston replaced Fonda in the lead role. So Fonda replaced Wayne, Huston replaced Fonda, and that's
okay.
So yeah, John Wayne would have been playing Ned, which would have been interesting. That would have certainly given this film a little bit more gravitas for sure. But
they would have bump up that fucking role a lot more and include him in some shit. But
yeah. The director and John Huston got along so well that the former subsequently cast him in another lead role in The Visitor, 1979. Wow. Filming took place on location in Atlanta, Georgia, and Oceanside, Pismo Beach, and San Diego, California. The aquarium sequences were shot in marine land of the Pacific in Los Angeles County, and underwater sequences were shot in Italy. Initially storyboarded was a sequence in which the octopus destroys the Golden Gate Bridge. That would have been bitchin'. You get me John Wayne, you get me an octopus destroying the Golden Gate Bridge. This movie goes up at least 2 points. Goddamn. But the sequence was
Bridge.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
it was the size of like a killer whale, maybe.
Yeah.
Competitive.
I just don't know. How does the octopus get from where it's at? Because I don't think it's anywhere near, San Francisco. As far, but there's again picking nits that just don't need to be picked.
Yeah, really. There, huh?
Yeah. But the sequence was cut due to time and budgetary constraints. During filming, the production lost the large rubber octopus in the sea, so the rest of the film was shot with a diver waving the only remaining tentacle.
What?
We're gonna hop on over to IMDb trivia section here in a minute, and I think there's a little bit more on that there because that's all this has.
There's a giant rubber octopus at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. Oh man,
probably in Italy because apparently that's where the underwater scenes were filmed. Maybe either Italy, Pismo, or San Diego. Not the Golden Gate Bridge, but we can find it.
All right. So, music. The film's score was done by Italian composer. See, I was right, you motherfuckers. Stelvio Ciprani, I think. It's easier when, there it is. Okay, here we go. Who scored the similarly Jaws-inspired films The Great Alligator and Piranha 2: The Spawning around the same time. So let's hear that. That is the theme for Tentacles, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's enough. If you play it more than 6 times, a lawyer will appear out of thin air and sue our
diver with one who's gonna come slap me around.
The film was released theatrically by Euro International Films in Italy on February 25th, 1977. how many years are we in? Happy, what is that? 48th anniversary, Tentacles. You're welcome.
Damn.
Just celebrated its 48th anniversary.
2 more years. Damn. I'm gonna get us.
Look at us. We're timely.
We're gonna put some squidding in some Seagram's scotch and just get after it.
In the United States, the film was distributed by American International Pictures, opening in New York on August 3rd, 1977, and Los Angeles on August 31st, 1977. The box office gross. The film was a box office success, grossing $3 million. For the U.S. release, several cast and crew adopted American-sounding aliases, including the director, who went by Oliver Hellman, the composer S.W. Caprini, and editor A.J. Curie, and actor Enzo Bonesti was Alan Boyd. So, yeah, I'm not sure if you're super familiar with this, Brian, but this is something that a lot of Italian and sometimes like Spanish filmmakers would do when they distributed films in America to help, because they would be concerned that if they didn't see, like if an American audience member didn't see an American name, they wouldn't go see the movie, so they would change their names to be more Americanized.
Damn.
So, yeah, it was a thing. Okay. Pardon me here.
I wonder how they pick their American name.
Yeah, you got about as much of an American name as anyone can possibly have. I actually have an Italian last name, so like I am more foreign than you. You very American. SOB. Okay. Reception. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of, drum roll please, 0%. With an average rating of 2.6 out of 10. Contemporary reviews are also negative. The New York Times called it an all too familiar giant octopus movie. I don't. Are there many giant octopus movies? I can think of like.
You've seen them all.
I guess so. I guess so. What do
Going to the New York Times, man.
You're not wrong.
Another octopus movie.
That's a good way to put it, pal. That suffered from atrocious acting in minor roles, occasionally poor dubbing, and a totally unoriginal story. Variety noted that although John Huston, Shelley Winters, and Henry Fonda may bolster prospects, they are all squandered in this one, thanks to a leaden script plus wooden direction by Oliver Hellman. Linda Gross of the Los Angeles Times dismissed it as a tedious movie, nightmarishly slow, and intermittently out of sync. I think that's probably my favorite review right there. That's
nightmarishly slow.
Yes. And the Monthly Film Bulletin declared a devastatingly silly rehash of the Jaws formula, atrociously scripted, stylishly acted, and reaching its low point in a grotesquely maudlin finale where the hero pours his heart out in a pep talk to whales he has trained to graduate to the standards of communication. Fuck.
Jesus. Ugh. My man's just saying what we're all thinking, you know?
Yeah. And finally, Screen International wrote, The special effects are good, and there is a fair amount of suspense before each victim is tentacled. I'm gonna start using that as a verb, tentacled.
Like
Um, but an adverb, that's right. But involvement with the characters is minimal. The excitement only lies in anticipating when the next plastic victim will get nabbed.
they say
Thoughts?
plastic victim.
It says plastic, probably because
All the toy boats.
yeah, the toy boats and
That makes the most sense.
the artificial acting, you know. Well,
God, it's good to know no one held back, you know.
yeah. Oh boy. Well, we're out to sea, and we're just, talking all this nonsense and talking about tentacles and maybe some scars that we received in being tentacled. And then the booze kicks in. We start talking about more serious stuff, like when 1,100 men went into the water. Here at this section, we kind of typically go into source material for the film. If we were discussing, like Razorback is based on a book, Jaws is based on a book. We don't always go to this section, but I'm tweaking it a little bit this time around to give us some more stuff to talk about. So here in 1,100 Men Went in the Water, we are going to jump on over to IMDb and read through some IMDb trivia. Okay. Again, like Wikipedia, there is a ledger you have to sign before you add anything to the IMDb page. It says that everything you put in there is 100% fact. And if it is not, you get a finger removed. So we can be almost assured that this is all up to snuff. Okay. The production spent nearly $1 million. See how this kind of conflicts with the total production cost being 750,000. We're just talking right now. Spent nearly $1 million on a life-size replica of a giant octopus, which promptly sank when it was put in the water. Let's see. Henry Fonda filmed all his scenes in one day. Fonda just had a pacemaker fitted and couldn't do anything too strenuous. All his scenes are fairly static, mostly talking on a telephone. The film's distributor offered theaters a promotional poster that listed several points about octopuses, including the fact that they can reach sizes of over 38 feet from arm to arm. I think that's about right, because what did I say? That the longest one that they recorded, like its arms were, its tentacle length was 20 feet. So that could
like one tentacle 20?
Yeah, I believe so.
Or like, well, you said tentacle span, which would be like 10 and 10.
Yeah, that makes more sense. So maybe they're exaggerating a bit here. Which
that would also make sense.
The 70s, you could do whatever you wanted.
You can say anything, And you can put
Just
it on.
Like that girl that sat on top of the boy at the boat at the beginning of the movie. She did what she wanted.
Here.
Oh man. The trailer narrated by Percy Rodriguez, who also narrated the Jaws trailers. He's got that great, really deep voice. I don't know if I've ever sent you the trailers for Jaws or if you've ever seen them, Brian, but man, they're really good. His narration is very
I think I've heard him, yeah.
Very good.
He's the one who's like, just when you thought it'd be safe to go back in the water. That guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm skipping over some of these because a lot of them just sound like nonsense. Even though they're facts, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to know about this giant fucking
I
octopus.
know, I was hoping to find more about that too, but it's all
God
just
damn
like
it.
nonsense. It's all saying that like there's different actors that were originally set to star and then they
Right.
dropped out. I'm like, all right, how many different times can I hear the same story?
They're like, well, we had Johnny Depp, but things happen.
Johnny Depp or John Wayne?
Same thing. Tomato, potato.
Sure.
For the 50th anniversary, man, we could find them that octopus. Bring it up from the depths.
Yeah, we got 2 years to do it.
You can put a submersible underwater with a PlayStation controller, then we could find a sunken octopus somewhere.
All right, here we go. Here's another conflicting report. The movie's production budget was $5 million US, which I think makes sense for this movie. It makes a lot more sense than 750,000, if you ask me. The scenes in Italy were shot by Nestro Ungaro, according to an article published in. Oh man, this is just so exciting. July 1976 edition of Show Business Trade Paper Daily Variety. Cool. That was great. That was really interesting. Oh man. Referencing Jaws to this movie, Bo Hopkins plays both. What did I tell you? Both Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss' part in the film, a cross between a wise, experienced hunter and an affable scientist. There is no Chief Brody character, although Clyde Atkins plays a cop. John Huston is probably the lead character until Bo goes on the hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
I read a review earlier, and it was like, yeah, that Ned was supposed to be like the Chief Brody. I'm like,
yeah, more or less.
And he's fucking 85 years old, and he's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the role, but neither here nor there. Which is funny because they do have like a sheriff in the movie.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm trying to keep this quiet. And I'm like, are you the mayor? Are you Chief Brody? What are we doing?
Yeah, I know. Okay, so the octopus that is killed by the orcas in the finale was a real octopus. However, it was bought from a local market and was already dead. I was wondering about that. I was like, this looks like a pretty real octopus. I wonder how they did that. That makes sense. That it was already dead and they just tore it apart.
I was gonna say when it was like, yeah, when the tentacle gets torn off and stuff, I'm like, that's pretty realistic looking. I'm impressed.
John Huston and Shelley Winters do not appear after hour 15, even though they are still alive. They are absent from the last 25 minutes of the film. Wild.
I'm okay with one of those.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Fuck's sake.
All right. Well, we've just got done telling stories, and now a giant octopus is going to be attacking our boat by the looks of it. And so we probably need a bigger boat. Here in the section titled Bigger Boat, we just ask, which would you rather face off against? The shark from Jaws or the octopus from Tentacles? Oh my god, just let the octopus kill me. I would be fine with it. I would rather be killed by the octopus than, like, I'm definitely going to be killed by the octopus, right? I'm in the water, definitely going to be killed. There's a chance I could potentially survive the shark from Jaws.
Wait, hold on.
I could potentially survive. I would
rather
still pick
face the octopus
being killed by the octopus than being in the water with the shark.
So you'd rather face the octopus, is what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. I had it backwards. Sorry. I agree. Yeah. I put octopus from Tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, it seems to be like, for the most part, chilling unless you go after it, aside from the sailing boat race and like maybe a couple others. Because like I read somewhere else and they're like, yeah, because I had to go read it because there's so many fucking plot holes.
Yes.
The high frequency of whatever they're doing in that tunnel is what pisses it off.
Yes. Yes. I had to read about it too because I was like, I don't understand what any of that was about. Did I miss it?
Why
And
is this
it's
happening?
there, but it's like a blink and you'll miss it moment where Will says, like, I think that's what they were doing up there, and it set it off real bad. And that's all
One
that's
line.
mentioned.
And it's like a maybe.
Yeah.
And it's like
And
so
so, yeah, all
like,
the radios, apparently at the beginning of the movie, like the cab driver's radio is what like the octopus can hear the cab driver's radio, which is probably,
I didn't even think about that though, yeah.
60 yards from the ocean itself, let alone
Right.
wherever the octopus was chilling underwater. Apparently, it can hear frequencies. Can octopuses hear? I don't know. How does
Most
that
of
work?
the time, it's in a cave on an island.
Yeah. Ah, it's fine. It's fine. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Right.
Why are we doing this to ourselves?
But yeah,
Like I said,
I put octopus as like survival wise. If okay, if I'm in the water and the shark's there, if I'm in the water and the octopus is there,
yeah.
But survival wise, they're probably even. I'm gonna die. Like if the octopus is pissed, if the shark is anywhere near me, one of them's gonna kill me. But I still think the shark is just like more of a like carnivorous hunter that's actually like built to fucking kill and eat.
Well, again, we're not even talking about sharks in general. We are talking about the shark from Jaws, which is absolutely trying to kill you.
Yeah, it's a man killer, and this is like an irritated giant octopus.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like it sneaks up on people most of the time too. So like if you're aware of it, like maybe you might have a chance of getting the fuck away from it. I don't know. I don't know how fast. I feel like they can go because they like shoot their I don't want to say their shit, their ink out and they launch, right? So they can go pretty quick.
They do like it's like water propulsion type of thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool actually.
To move real fast. Yeah, it's really cool. Except for the scene where the wife dies, which apparently it comes in like a fucking tidal wave.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. That was a good shot when it's like pulling down the boat like that.
A good scene. One of the best. But yeah, so bring on the octopus.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all she wrote for Bigger Boat. Ooh, I like that.
Hey,
we are gonna go to our awards ceremony. Bring on them Yellow Barrel Awards. Here at the esteemed Yellow Barrel Awards, we're going to be handing out some prizes, ladies and gentlemen. So our first award is the Doll's Eyes Award for Best Kill of the Movie. B-Rye, what do you got for me?
Unrelated that the first kill is a fucking infant. I did like I'm trying to think of who it was exactly when the big fat guy and the other guy are in the water. I don't remember who it is exactly.
It's the woman, right?
Whose feet are getting dragged.
Oh, I don't know which one it is. I'm assuming it's the overweight man because the other guy had flippers on. You saw the flippers.
Oh, right. Good point. Good point. I loved that shot. Not as so much of like as a like kill, but fuck.
Yeah.
It was a good like post kill scene.
It was a very like I was like, what is going on here? Why are his feet like perfectly like that? I don't know. But yeah, I got a kick out of that. I think I like the kid on the sailboat, like that shot of the sailboat being pulled under and everything. I think it's really cool. Not quite as bleak as killing an infant, but still, you know, this movie doesn't pull his punches in terms of like it just killing babies, kids, men, women, like everyone gets killed in this movie. Every, age range and sex just being apparently killed both a boy and a girl infant if you're keeping up. But
Keeping track.
but yeah, I think I really like that shot of the underwater shot of the octopus opening up and kind of absorbing the boat. I thought that was pretty cool. So I really feel like I know the answer to this. And everyone else who's been listening probably knows, but our next award is the Hoagie Award, which we kind of go back and forth depending on the movie. It's either Brian's favorite character or his favorite character to hate, and I am willing to, I don't know,
I'm curious what you think.
bet whatever future fortune I may make that it is Ned's sister.
Damn it. Yeah, it is. It's
I've been
fucking
keeping
silly.
track of all the times she's come up in
Fucking
this
silly.
podcast and how many different comments you've made about how you were happy when she stopped showing up.
Yeah, I was hoping she was gonna die, but I'll take just, written out of the last third of the movie, I guess.
Beggars can't be choosers, my friend.
Exactly. God, I literally put Ned's sister, the hoe, Tilly. Also, the fuck is with the sombrero. Those are my notes.
I'm glad that we both had the same note, which is I have it right here. Like, the fuck is the sombrero about? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, pissed me off so much. Every time she was in a fucking scene, she pissed me off. Like, why are you talking? Why are you in this movie at all?
Apparently she was an actress. I don't know. An actress who was hired to star in that role. I don't know. There's no proof. We'll never know.
Like, what role do you think she's like trying to fill in the Jaws universe? She's got to have like the motherly fear on the dock, can't get hold of her child type role,
Yeah, but like, she's the worst mom. She doesn't even know her son's name.
She's who's the kid on the raft? That's like kind of her shtick, almost.
Yeah.
It's similar enough to be that kind of a role.
I guess so.
Slutty and annoying, apparently.
Good for her. I'm happy. Her son's alive. Her friend's son is very much dead.
Yeah. Fuck.
And
that scene alone.
Yeah, that was rough. I also like that, like, they're like, is there anybody else? And the guy's like, no. And they're like, yeah, sorry, he's dead. Like, it's the ocean, folks. You go until you find a body.
That actor fucking killed me. When I watched that scene, the sheriff's like, "You sure there's no one else?" And she's like, "No," and then just walks.
Yeah, he's just like, his arms go up, and he's like,
there. The chick like breaks down because her son's dead by unanimous decision. And then fucking Tilly, right in front of her, just grabs her son and says, "Oh, thank God."
Thank God. Yeah, it's terrible. It's horrendous. That was a terrible, terrible scene.
I was like, oh my God, I hate you so much. Well, the hoagie.
Our next award is the Barry Gibb Award, which is Brian's best lookalike, or best lookalike. Brian's person that he thinks looks like somebody else, which we derived in. I always say this, but we derived in our first review we did on the Johnny Jaws cast when we watched Jaws: The Revenge, and Brian thought the actor who was playing Mike Brody, looked like Barry Gibb. So
Oh, very good.
from there on, we have the Barry Gibb Award. Brian, I gotta level with you, buddy. I saw your notes a little bit. I saw this in there, and I will say that had I not seen your notes, my brain still would have come up to the same conclusion you did, because that
Really?
when I was watching it, I was just like, oh yeah, he looks like a wannabe. He looks like the name brand version of, or the store brand version of who you're gonna say. So
I'm
please take
curious
it
which
away.
one you're talking about because I put 2.
Oh,
Oh, maybe you didn't see the second one yet. I don't know. It's fair. Uh, Honestly, I think the second one's more accurate than the first one.
we'll go with the first one.
Yeah, right out the gate, I put Ned Turner, aka Sean Connery.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing the Sean Connery thing. I see a little
Dude,
bit of that. Honestly,
I haven't seen.
John Huston reminds me a lot more of God, I can never remember people's names on the spot on this podcast. If I'm not doing a podcast, I know actors' names,
You are really
no
good at it.
problem. But as soon as I'm doing
It's the lights,
a
man.
pod, it just escapes me. Max von Sydow. So John Huston as Ned in this movie reminds me of Max von Sydow, who he's the Exorcist in The Exorcist. Like, he's
Oh,
the old
yeah.
man. Like,
Okay.
so and he actually almost kind of sounds like him at times too. So that would be like my pick if I had one. But your second pick is the real deal. It's on point. And it was the entire time I was watching this, like I said, he's like, oh, like that guy is store
Right?
brand of so and so. So please take it away.
It goes to Shamu Boy, aka Steve McQueen,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
oceanographer.
Yeah. Um,
Tries so
I
hard, especially in his first scene in his white T-shirt and shit, and his sunglasses
yeah.
with the like blonde tips and whatnot.
Yeah, man. I'm wondering if they also really wanted to get Steve McQueen for the role, and then they couldn't afford him or something like that,
Man, can you imagine John Wayne and Steve McQueen in the movie Tentacles?
Oh my God.
And if
Let's
they
go back in time to
sunk,
make that movie.
hadn't sunk a fucking giant octopus,
Yeah, I
rubber
know.
octopus.
And they let it destroy the Golden Gate Bridge. Come on, let's fucking
Come
go, man.
on, dude. What the movie could have been. This cover artwork is just, man.
This movie is dying to be remade. These are the type of movies that need to get remade. Shitty movies, like with cool concepts that they couldn't see to fruition at the time. Remake
Right?
these movies, not
They were
not
ahead of their
fucking.
time. They just couldn't. They didn't have the technology.
Speaking of time, our last award is the No Overtime Award for best effect. Do we have a best effect? Do you have a favorite effect from this
I have
movie?
3.
Oh, look at you go.
Yeah, come on, man. That's the coolest. With best effects.
Right. Okay, well, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I put my first one was the first official kill of the scuba diver with the ink cloud.
Yeah, that's
That
dope.
was
Yeah.
fucking sick. For an underwater scene, I mean, I'm always impressed with underwater scenes, especially in the 70s, because technology is just working against them at every corner. But that was sick to have a scuba diver like up in that cave and it blast out all the black cloud, and for him to get like pulled back in. That was still, I had high hopes at that point of the film. I was like, we're doing something. This could be neat. That was the end of that thought process and dreams and hopes for where Tentacles is going to take us. But, You want me to go on to my next one? What do you got? How many do you have?
I have like I don't know, like I really like the hand puppets, orcas.
Yeah, that one's kind of in there with my second one.
That's me being facetious. If I really had to pick one, I thought the actual like when the wife gets killed and the tentacles have her, like I think that's actually pretty cool.
That was impressive.
I wish that there was more of that in the movie because I think that's really cool. Instead of just like people disappearing underwater or whatever, like
Right.
tentacles actually coming out and like attacking people would have been really fucking
Like
dope.
not
So
only did they actually get to show it kind of like wrapping the boat, which was cool, but they
yeah,
had her in her kill scene. They had her underwater scene of it going and wrapping around her like
yeah,
legs and torso, and it's really
yeah,
like the only kind of scene you get to see like that.
yeah, exactly.
That was pretty fucking cool. I was like, ooh, I wonder how they actually pulled that one off because that was pretty dope. Yeah, that one's cool. To piggyback off that, I had the toy boat attack at night with the bubbles the size of the windows.
Oh yeah.
I just loved it. I watched that and I replayed it like twice. I was like, oh my god, we're just
Oh.
trying.
Yes, we are.
They were like, that looks good.
That's the money shot right there.
That's it.
Cut, print, check the gate.
They're like, I mean, we have a sailboat. No. We have this boat. It's this big.
I stole it from my son.
Yeah.
He has no bat toy now.
I filmed this last night. I turned the light off in the bathroom.
Roll of film.
The other one I had, which also being just a jackass, was the raspy breathing / growl of the octopus. What a great effect.
Great effect.
Top notch. Really just made me, that much more scared to go in the ocean, hear an octopus growl.
Yeah, that is definitely something that one does find themselves being kept awake at night by.
I don't ever plan on going scuba diving, but the chance of hearing an octopus's growl really keeps me out of the water.
Yeah, I understand. That's like I said, that's the scary stuff that we're all terrified by.
Yep.
But until then, there's really only one thing you can do, and that's smile, you son of a bitch. All right, folks, we've come to the end of our journey with Tentacles, and now we shall be giving you our final thoughts and ranking. B-Rye, take it away, sir.
Oh man, I had a number already, and us just this always happens every time we do this. I'm always like, oh, I've got this number in mind, and then you and I sit here and we fucking bullshit for 2 hours, and then I'm like, fuck, it always changes. It's either better or worse, but it always changes a little bit. And this one's probably gonna change just a little bit. But my final thoughts, the fucking story is all over the goddamn place. Such little depth to the rhyme or reason for this thing to be attacking, let alone be alive. I want more about the Trojan underwater condom tube and their bad testings and just like some depth to that company. Like I want that fleshed out more, whatever the fuck they called it. Maybe, some more of deaths involved within this company. Like no one's impacted by this at all. Like no one really has like any impact about it. It's such a sideline story, which is the whole reason for the story. Definitely more play on the orcas since they like saved the show and got the end credit freeze frame. They showed them one other time beforehand, which was at the introduction of the oceanographer.
Mm-hmm.
Way more octopus. Like, it seems they're so weak and they're zoomed in and crappy, and there's like no suspense or build up to most of them, or at least not done in a right way, or like, and I don't know. That being said, I did love the the toy action scenes. The overall aesthetic of this film does have the lovely like 70s nostalgic cozy vibe that is just hard to beat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the cover art and everything's great, but yeah, as soon as it started, like watching the cab pull up and everything, which is when I was taking pictures of this of my screen, I was like, man, you can't beat these old ones. As shitty as they are, they're fun and they're stupid, and you just take them for what they are. So I gave it a 6 out of 10, which honestly might be one of my lowest ratings.
It might be one of your lowest ratings, but it's also insanely generous.
Right? Exactly. I was gonna drop it down, and I stuck with it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you sticking to your guns.
I did. Yeah, I did. I didn't actually change this one this time. After I read my own ratings and reviews, I was like, oh, no, 6 is good. I'd put it at a 6. A 5.5 felt harsh when I fully look at what it is. It's shitty, but you know, you gotta take it for what it is. It's 77, baby. Just fucking, they tried. Fucking send it. It ain't Jaws, but you know, it's an octopus.
I will say really quick in regards to what you said about like the orcas. You know what they kind of reminded me of? They kind of reminded me of the dolphins in Jaws 3. You know, when they're kind of like the heroes that are kind of in the background, like we see them in their thing and everything, and they pop up here and there, and then at the very end of the movie, they
Exactly.
save the day, and then there's the freeze frame of them make that terrible
I
superimposed
forgot about that freeze frame.
3D
God,
dolphins that are just like disproportionate to the actors. Uh,
clip art dolphins.
that's like a so bad it's good moment. That's
That
just
one
like,
is.
oh, folks, what have we done? You've
Yeah.
created a masterclass of terrible filmmaking. So that kind of leads me into my thoughts on this film, which I echo a lot of what you said. What I will say is that the cardinal sin of a movie is not to be bad, it's to be boring. And I've said this before.
Mm.
And while this film, I do feel it moves along at a little bit more of a pace than something like Orca, which I there's a lot I like about Orca, but my God, does that film drag. This one moves a little bit quicker, but like you said, there's nothing interesting happening with this octopus. There's no suspense. People just kind of like disappear underwater, and the coolest stuff that we get are the scenes that we just mentioned in our last section, which is the ink blot kind of taking over the diver, and then the wife being attacked by the tentacles. And had there been more stuff like that, more trying to build suspense, maybe seeing like the octopus off in the distance in underwater, could have been cool,
Yeah.
seeing it like approach, things like that. But yeah, dude, the script is bad. The direction is horrendous in this movie. There seems to be no cohesiveness. The big like errors, plot holes, issues, things that I pointed out with what characters say versus what other characters say, not getting names right, not getting gender right, for Christ's sake. These are all like had it been in a more interesting movie, those elements could have added a sense of charm to it, but because this movie just falls so flat across the board, it it's not funny, it's just bad.
Mm-hmm.
So for all that, I regrettably because this is a movie I've been wanting to watch for a long time. Regrettably, have to give Tentacles a 3 out of 10.
Damn.
You were kind enough to give it a 6 out of 10, stating, look at what, they were trying to do back then in 1977. And my retort to that is Star Wars came out in 1977. And they also did not have a very big budget. And look at what they were able to do.
You have to start doing your ratings before mine. God, just look ridiculous. That's 6. Christ. Tentacles.
Tentacles. So what does that come out to? Is like a 4.5 out of 10 for the Johnny Jaws cast for Tentacles.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Tentacles. Yeah.
Yikes.
Folks, this is not one that I think either of us can really recommend. I mean, if you're a completionist for aquatic horror, then by all means, it's unique in the sense that it's an octopus movie, a giant octopus movie, but as was stated previously, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. So if you can find a better octopus movie, then go for it. Maybe 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, even though I think that is a giant squid, so that is not the same thing.
If you find one, let us know.
Yeah, please. I think we might be overdue for a giant octopus movie nowadays. Let's see it, folks. If you're out there and you got the money and you got the means, make shit happen. We'll watch it. We'll review it. But until then, I am one of your co-hosts this evening, Johnny Horror, and with me tonight, my partner in crime and first mate aboard the USS Johnny Jaws cast, Brian Calvert. Had a lot of fun doing this with you, buddy. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. And thank you guys for listening. Upcoming, we have the 50th anniversary of our namesake, Jaws, this year. So look forward to some special stuff in that regard coming at you in the next couple of months. Until then, farewell and adieu, and we will see you motherfuckers on the flip side. Adios, muchachos.